Right, in this one, Jen, I showed you how to make this door the other day. Jen's actually going to hinge the door, put the lock in it and fit it. I'm going to make the frame. I'm going to use hardwood sill as well, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the frame and situate the frame in such a position where the door sits flush with the front of the wall. It's almost a secret door, but the thing with the secret door, if you make a true secret door, then it needs to open inwards. The best option for this door is to open outwards, therefore it gives you more space inside the storage area, which is at a premium because it's quite small, so you want more space. If the door opens in, you've then lost all that space. So, and a true secret door and all, then you need to use the cedar going up beyond the door on the walls and that, which we're not doing in this occasion, but it's pretty damn good as it is. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use these ball bearing hinges, the stainless steel, they're 4-inch. They're for fire doors and exterior doors, basically. We're going to put 3 of them on the door. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to edit this video in such a way that Jen's going to film some of this. I'm going to fit the first one, and then Jen's going to follow then, aren't you, Jen, and fit the other ones. So if you can just video with that, and then I'll edit it into this video. So, we're using these hinges. They come with these stainless screws. Stainless screws? The stainless steel screws are very soft and the bit will knacker them up. So I'm showing you what we're going to do there as well. Hinges. Right, top of the door. I know that this side is my hinge side. So what I've done, I've not put any nails there. Can you see that, Jen? Yeah, because I knew that I was going to hinge it. So your first hinge is 6-inch down, put across there. Your next hinge is 9-inch up. And then put across there. So that's where that hinge is going to go. That's where that hinge is going to go. I'll explain why in a minute. And then you want one centre of the door. So you've got 77.5 there, which is 35, 36. What's that? 37.5, isn't it? 37 point, no, and a quarter. 37 and a quarter. Nowhere near. Right, okay. Edit that bit out. What's the maths, Jen? Right, we want a hinge in the centre as well. So the door's approximately 1960, which makes it 980 centre to centre, which we've got there. That's a centre line there. So what I'll do now, I'll just get my hinge and I'll know then that I'm going to locate that there. Jen's going to sand this door up once it's done as well. So there'll be a hinge there, and a hinge there. Right, so I'm going to fit one hinge. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that as well. What I'm going to do, right, Jen, I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't see. Jen's going to have to get a close-up now as well. Right, rather than use them stainless steel hinges, what I'm going to do, Jesus Christ. Right, rather than use them stainless steel screws, I'm going to first fit the hinge with some gyprock screws. They'll provide a minimal size hole, and they will also allow us to come in and out while we take the hinge off without knacking up that screw. So I'm going to hold that hinge here. You can see the lines there on that side of the hinge. I forget the right term for it, but that's where I want to locate my hinge. Now, because it's countersunk is that screw hole, if I put that screw there, it will pull that hinge across that way. And that, likewise, if I put it there, it'll pull it that way once it sits down into the countersink, which is not what we want. So what we want is to get this hinge in exactly the right position, locate the screw, dead centre, and then I'm just going to screw that down like that, like such. Again, get the hinge where I want it, dead centre. Right, so that's the position of my hinge. What I'm going to do now, Jen's passing me a chisel because that's the way she thinks this procedure is going to work, but gone are the days of that. What you need to do now, and this is the way most joiners do it now, unless they're really old school, which I'm sure some of you are, and you're probably screaming in despair the fact I'm going to do this, but this is the way it happens now. What are you laughing at? I'm not going to take the hinge out with the knife or stab it into submission either. So my hinge is in the position I want to be. I'm going to router this hinge out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my sharp Stanley knife blade and I'm going to score around the hinge like such. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to give it a little go like that and like that. Right, so years ago, you'll have drawn around with a pencil or used a chisel to mark it out. Gone are them days. So I'm going to take my hinge off now. And I'm now left with the hinge mark. Now, years ago, you'd have chopped it out. You'd have gone bum, 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 all the way up, took it out like that, planed it off, arsed around with it. And it took you some time, and it would have been nice, and you'd have been content. But then came the routers and the trimmers. So I've set the depth of that trimmer blade to the depth of the hinge. It's a bit low. What's a bit low? The hinge? Right, that's why I've got my glasses on then, because obviously a man of my age struggles with his eyesight. Right, Jen, let's see if we can get a close-up of that. Right, that's the router bit there. That point there, can you see it properly? Yeah. That point there is the highest point on the blade, and so is that one there. So that is where the depth will cut to. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to try and set this to the right. What's happening, look, can you see that the bearing of the hinge is pushing it up higher? So what I'm going to do, just going to set that there now. Oh, I've just moved it. I'll edit the hell out of this so it looks like we've done it first time. Or I won't, one or the other. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to test that now on a little bit of wood. Right, you get that?
No, do it again.
Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to test that on a little... fresh bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to test that on a little bit of wood, so turn my trimmer on. Just suck a little bit out like that, get my hinge, sit my hinge there. Now, I don't know if Jen wants to touch that and stroke it, but that's flushing it, Jen. Are you happy with that? Right, so after Jen's approval on that, and don't forget, Jen has decided that this is the way the door needs to be because she didn't like the other one, she thought it looked crap. So, here we go. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to speak up a bit so you can hear me. I'm now going to straddle the door for fear of it going anywhere. I'm now going to use my hand as a guide, and to stop it, I'm just going to go up to my first line. Can you see that, Jen? And the reason why I've done that, I'll turn that off. The reason why I've done that is because I don't want to burr it out there and burr it out there. And if you start going in and taking big chunks out, that's what's going to happen. You've got to progressively go in. Right, I'm now using my finger to lock the router on. Now, of course you can use a guide for it, but as with all things in this world, I've lost a guide. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take that out, a little excess there. This is at the point where I say to Jen, we haven't got a hammer, but I will use my hand because it's soft. Not my hand isn't soft, but the wood is. There, so I've took that corner out. Took that corner out. You can actually buy a little trend corner cutter, but that's a step too far for me. It's like a little punch thing, and you sit on the corner, whack it with the hammer, and it takes that little corner out. But why you'd want to spend money on that, I don't know. Right, so that's my hinge. I've took that out. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to sit that in there like that, and there you go. That's in. It's flush, and that's good enough for me. Is it good enough for you, Jen? No. Right, so that's that one. Jen is now going to do exactly the same on the middle one and the bottom one. We've already set the trimmer, so that's good for depth. She'll be good with that. So all she needs to do is to remember to screw the hinge down with some gyprox, score around it with the knife, and don't go past it or anything like that, because you'll have score marks in your wood and this door isn't getting painted up, it's getting oiled. Then she'll take the hinge off, then she'll trim it out. She'll take the corners out with the chisel, then she'll have a look and decide it's beautiful, and then her ovaries will go boom, because that's what happens to Jen when she sees nice joinery. Her ovaries go boom, 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 boom. Okay, right, Jen, over to you. Right, like I said then, Jen, I've sort of chased out that one with router, palm trimmer, whatever you want to call it. Jen's now going to do the second one as well. She's locating her screw. Again, we're using gyprox screws simply because we don't want to damage the head of the stainless steel until we're ready to fix it, because it does happen. You know, you round it off, you ain't getting it out either. So because it's countersink screw and hole, it then locates its centre. So she's obviously centred that one properly. She's now locating that little gap there on that leaf of the hinge in line with the door. She's going to centralise that screw now and screw that down as well. It's worth taking a little bit of time to centralise it so that your hinge sits correctly, or damn as near correctly anyway. I was actually going to buy her them drill bits. She can get a countersink drill bit, and when you push it down it drills through and it sits locates dead in the hole for you.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, maybe next time. Jen's sporting a lovely floral shade of coral shade of nail varnish, is it, Jen?
It is, yeah.
It is.
Right, okay.
Right, so she's got that down, she's secured that. It's in a good position now. She's now going to use the Stanley knife.
Now this is a bit backwards because I am left-handed.
She is left-handed, yeah, so it's a little bit awkward for her. If you're left-handed yourself, you might know that some things aren't quite as straightforward as other people find them. So what she's going to do, she's going to do it nice and gently first so that she doesn't overshoot the hinge and mark the door. Because obviously if this were getting painted, that wouldn't be an issue, but it's not, it's getting oil. So she wants these to look as attractive and well set in as possible. If you watched any of my videos, you'll know that I struggle with terminology for absolutely everything, so you'll just have to roll with this. It's more of a show and tell rather than a documentary in it, and a well-worded documented feature. So this one here now, that one there is where she's got more chance of running off, because what happens is the knife wants to follow the grain in the wood. So what I said to her is score it a few times nice and gently before you start going deep. So just put the end in first, give it a little push in, and then go deep after that.
We just need to make sure it's tight.
Yeah, we're looking for a nice tight fit, aren't we?
Yeah. Right, okay, so...
Right, she's happy with that now. I'm just going to show you another little thing when she's took that hinge off, which I haven't shown her. But with cedar being a soft wood, it's not normally an issue, this, but I'm just going to show you something else as well. Right, so... Probably could have been better off putting a gyp rock bit in there, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to pass this over to Jen now, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do now. Right, Jen, you're that. Right, so the router obviously spins and kicks out. So if you haven't put that line deep enough there, then what will happen sometimes, it will splinter a piece out like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put my knife on that line there. I'm just going to rock it like that, which will cut that and stop any cedar splinting out when she routers it. Right, yeah. Okay, right, so the little trimmer's still set. She's now gonna grab the trimmer. I can see a little bit of panic in her face now for whatever reason, I don't know. She's done this before.
Not with a router, but...
Yeah, she's never took an hinge out with a router before, have you, Jen?
I haven't.
Always use chisels.
Always.
So
right.
The importance of this router is that you keep the bed of the router flat with the cedar there, because if you rock it like that or like that, to exaggerate it, it's going to gouge it out deeper, and then your hinge won't sit properly in your wood. Okay, fire her up. Like I said, this is the first time she's used a trimmer, Jen, and obviously I'm filming it, which is heightening the pressure on her a little bit as well. Are you finding that, Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what she's going to do now, she's just going to use the chisel now and just take the wood out. She's going to watch now that this chisel doesn't drive forward and cut her fingers as well. So if you come this way, look, and put the chisel like that. Yeah, and then you can take a little bit out. Yeah, and you might want to come that way now. Put your chisel like that and sit it flat on the bed and push it towards. Just keep away from the corner, come more there, and then you'll get the corner out as well. What she's asked me to do, she's asked me to video this in such a way where I'm actually sort of showing her how to do it and showing you guys how we do it as well. Obviously more than one way to skin a cat. This is the way I've always been shown.
I really don't want to damage the door. I need some taken out of this.
Right, would you say? Right, hold it there for me.
Uh-huh.
Hold that camera.
Uh-huh.
Right, just hold the camera on that. Right, don't move the camera from there.
Okay.
Which finger? Which finger? Which finger? There. Okay. Happy?
Yeah.
Right, so what she's done now, right, she's, where are we? So what she's done now, she's got that in, she's happy with that, I'm more than happy with that. Like I say, these pencil marks, we're going to sand it, so what she'll do, she'll take that hinge off and she'll sand the full door, then she'll reset the hinges on and screw them on finally. So she's just got one more to do now. I'll leave her alone to do that one, because obviously she's succeeded in that and I'm happy with that. You happy, Jen?
Yeah.
Cool. So we're going to fit the door frame. Obviously we've got a hardwood sill. The reason why we've got a hardwood sill, obviously it's exterior, it's going to get wet and it'll rot if it's not. So that's hardwood sill. So what we're looking for is this door to be seamless almost and run through, flush with the cladding. Now, if it's a secret door, it needs to open internally for it to be a proper secret door where you can't see it. But the thing is with the secret door, all the best will in the world, a few months down the line, it's going to start to look a bit shabby because it's exterior, it's moved, it's changed colour, it's gone all over the place. A secret door, but we're going to open ours out. So the way we're going to do this with it looking as seamless as we can basically is we're going to bring this frame flush with the slate bottom, which will carry the cedar. Now I've just put a vertical one on there. The cedar is going vertical, but I put that on there so I can marry my frame up to it. Obviously we'll put horizontal strips on. So imagine, if you will, that's the cedar. I'm going to clad the frame in cedar, so the internal of the frame will be clad in cedar like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do then, I am going to get a small bit of rip of cedar and I'm going to stick it on there like that and create a little quirk like a regular architrave, but obviously this is still yet to be clad. Can you see that all right, Jen?
Yeah.
So imagine now, if you will, that's your door there. So your door's going to sit like that, right? But the door's stepped back that, so that's no good. So what we're going to do, we're going to clad that face first and bring that one forward like that, which then when we hinge the door on, will bring the door, it's just beveled there because it's on the bevel, but it will bring the door flush with the front like that. And then what we'll do then, we'll clad down the front of the building like that and overlap it on the door frame. So we've got two problems here now. We're going to have a little gap there and we're going to have a little gap there. But the way we're going to get round that then, we're going to drop an architrave over there, which will cover that gap and cover that gap. So let me just pop that there. So what we've got our door lining, which is cedar clad. We've got our door, which has been pulled forward, which runs in line with the cedar there. We've got the cedar on the wall, and then we've got our architrave, which will conceal all the gaps there as well. So that's how the door's going to sit. That's how you're going to pull it forward. So taking all them away now, what we need to do now is get this frame fit and get it flush with the slate batten on the outside. Can you see that there? So that's how that will sit, and then by the time we've clad it will all sit forward and the door will be in line with the wall. The only thing that will protrude really is the architrave. But like I said before, it's exterior, it is going to move, it's going to change colour and it's going to change shape. So this is the best way forward with it for longevity of an aesthetically appearing door. Right, we've got the frame in, it's 4x2 green treated, we put a hardwood sill in. What we're going to do now, we're cladding it in cedar. So basically the way we've clad it in such a way is that when... Let me just get a little bit of cedar off the floor. This shit tip because nobody cleans up. Yeah, that's perfect, Jen. So when that cedar goes on vertically like that, there, an architrave will then cover that gap there and that joint there. So that'll be that concealed. On this one here, when this Jen looks here, the door stop will stop like that for the door, so that will conceal that gap as well there. And then we've done it, we've seeded there, and then the architrave on the back will also cover that joint there. So everything's concealed, and you've got basically a cedar door frame, which you see that look there. So what we've used all the bits of cedar that couldn't have used anywhere else, but once that's in place like that, and that stop bead goes over, that's all concealed and it's all gone, so it's all good. If Jen could just pass me the pin gun, please. Again, what we're going to do, I'm going to pin it close to that V-joint there, because I know the stop bead is then going to cover all the fixings, like such, and then I'll just put a couple through the angle there, but of course the architrave will hold it on the back. So for all intents and purposes, that is your door casing made. Allow your door to sit flush with your cladding. All the trims then, the architrave, the doorstop and the back architrave will cover all the joints in your cedar and you'll have a seamless door. I'll just offer this door up and you can have a little look. Like I said before, oh, I'll tell you what, it was fucking too high because I've not shortened it over. Stop there, Jen. Right, so that's your door frame. The door will be flush with the cladding apart from your architraves, but it's going to look mint. I'm going to offer it up now. It's baking hot. We dug out a lot of earth yesterday and I've literally had enough of life itself at this moment in time. But that there is the door. Just get that to sit around a little bit better so you can appreciate the door a little bit better. Typical. Oh, no. Jen, why did it go in first time and then
I don't know.
it won't this time? And now it just wants to eat my soul. Right, so that is your door. What's going on with it now? There we go. We in now? Yeah. So, cedar clad door, obviously you see the will run flush with that, it'll run flush with the door. Architrave will sit over there, it'll conceal that gap and go all the way around. That gap there is the door opening and closing gap, I don't know what you call it. What would you call it, Jen? Jesus Christ, my brain's gone into meltdown completely, absolutely. Brain fart. But that gap there will be equalled on that side and that door will be parallel. Lovely all the way around. All it requires now is the lock putting in, which Jen is going to do tomorrow. We'll give it a final sand, we'll oil it up and then we'll stand back and be amazed at the fantastic cedar clad door we created. Possibly, if it's a little bit colder. If not, then we might have a day off. Possibly. What?
If you like to like and subscribe.
Right, you go on, we're just going to lock mine off from
Right.
So if you'd like to like, subscribe and follow, that would be fantastic. And if you want to leave a mean comment like some of you do, that'd be fine as well, because I've literally had it up to here at this moment in time. So go for it. Look, I just want to show you a couple of things. It's my real hair. It's not a hairpiece or a wig or anything like that. Granted, I had the teeth done some time ago, but everything else is mine. I'm fucked off, Jen. Right, so we're back on it. Jen's hinged the door yesterday. We put the frame in. I showed you how to clad the frame as well. What you've got to remember is it's on site. We're using what we've got on site. I appreciate you could get a cedar door frame made up. The cost of that and the cost of cedar at the moment, we're actually using bits of cedar that we've got that have become shed grade, but because of the positioning we've put them in, we've managed to cut off the bad bits and stuff like that and still use them and maximise what we've got. So with that in mind, Jen is now going to work out the hinges on the door frame. So the easiest way to do this, in my opinion, is what she's done then. She's measured off the top of the door, Jen. So she's measured down from the top of the door. She's located where the top of her hinge, ooh, that's a tongue twister. She's located where the top of her hinge is, and it's 152 mil. So we want a 3 mil gap at the top. So she's marked that at 155, and she's done the same down that as well there. So she's got 933. So she's added 3 mil on that. So she's got 936, and so on down to the bottom. What she'll do now, she'll walk down here like that. She'll pop her tape tight to the top of the opening now. I'll just try and hold that for her there so you can see it. Right, so she's going to now push the tape and she's going to mark on the door frame the measurements that she's just took. So she's got 155. And then what she'll do then, she'll just put a cross there like that. And then she'll know that that hinge is from that line downwards. And she'll do the same in the middle. Line, cross, all the way down. What are you, Jen?
Yes.
Until she knows where her hinge marks are, and she'll hinge them up. She'll house the hinges exactly the same way she did the door. She'll screw them on with some gyprock screws first, and then what she'll do then, she'll mark them with a Stanley knife, and then she'll get the trimmer and cut them out. And then hopefully when that door goes in, it will sit in them hinge holes she has cut, and it will sit lovely and 3 mil down from the Right, Jen's fit the door now. I've lifted it up for her because obviously it's quite heavy and there's nothing to sit the door on there to actually, you know, to support it while we've got the hinges on. But what we've done is, you can see there, look, the hinge holes, the screws were always going to come out there because of the nature of pulling the door forward. So what we've done, we've changed from the silver stainless steel hinges to the gold 60mm hinges, and then these ones there are driving directly through into the 4x2 behind. But you can see that door there. I'm just going to shut it now. There's no lat on it to stop it, so obviously it's gonna pull straight through, but there you go. So there's an equal gap all the way around that door, which is absolutely spot on. It shuts lovely, it looks nice. What she's going to do now, she's going to now fit the lock out, Jen, and smile. Thank you. Okay, so right, we're going to fit a deadlock in this door. As I said previously, what I've done, I've not nailed where I knew where the lock was going to go. So the lock's going to go. The lock is going to go here because we're on ground level there, and that's an appropriate distance for the lock to go. So deadlock. There's the casing for the deadlock. That is the Euro cylinder for the deadlock. That is the escutcheon for the deadlock. I cannot spell escutcheon, but I know what it looks like. That sits on the door like that and houses and tidies up any little crappy hole that you've made. Right, so what I've done on this door, because I know I've got a sheet of ply in the middle and I'm worried about it coming through the side of the door. I know that casing there is 14mm thick. So I'm using 16mm auger bit. It's brand new, it's a decent brand. I want to make sure I go through nice and tidy with this. Right, so I know my lock's going there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop my lock on the door like that. That's where I'm going to put it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark the top of it there and mark the bottom of it there. I'm also going to look for the centre of my door because that's where I want the lock. The door is 54mm wide, so I'm 54mm. My maths is crap. 27mm is halfway, isn't it? Yeah. Right, so I'm now going to finger gauge that down there like that. So that is where this lock is going to sit. It's going to sit in there, and that's where I want it to be. So with that in mind and the auger bit, what I want to do is start my first hole there so I don't come out above there, and my bottom hole there. That makes sense? Anything in between is all fair play. So what I'm going to do, it's a bit difficult because this door is actually floating off the floor, so I'm just going to trap it with my leg like that. I'm wearing mascot shorts, by the way. Right, so I'm going to set my little point on there. What I want to do is make sure I don't go like that or like that, because I'll come out the side of the door and there'll be tears. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get it straight. I'm not overly fussed if I'm not dead on like that, because up and down is not going to affect it, but I'm going to try and get it as plumb and straight as possible. Also, what I'm going to do, before I forget, right, so that's where the lock's going to go. I'm also going to look at the depth I want the lock in to go, so I'm going to sit the lock there, and I'm going to put my thumb there like that. That's how far I want to go in, because we don't want to drill everything out the door, because that's just crazy. So what I'm going to do, I know you can put a bit of tape around this, but I'm just going to put a bit of mark around it, so I know roughly that's how far we want to go in. Right, so we're ready now. I've got my drill set up. I'm going to try and keep it plumb and straight. It's fast this because we want to get the job done and we want to get home. So you see that there? Because it's sharp, it's gone in beautiful. So I'm just going to go in backwards and forwards, and I can still see my mark on there, only just. Right, now I'm going to do the bottom hole. I won't lie. This drill bit looks a lot less than 16mm, but it is. Right, now I'm going to do the next hole. So backwards and forwards, cleaning it out. If you're using a hardwood door, an oak door, or anything like that, a little tip for you, what you might want to do if it's not as thick as this, get a clamp on there and hold the door together because it can split open. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to spread that one a bit higher because I've got 2 more holes to drill there. I don't want to put a hole in the middle because then I'm going to have to chisel that out, which I don't want to do. Right, see how that slipped off now because I've not left myself much room. I'm just going to go in at an angle now. Right, but I know that this auger bit is absolutely cock on. So what I'm going to do now is just wind it up and down like that. Whoop, and pull that off there because that's not been tightened in properly. Jen. just going to move that up and down, clearing it out. I mean, when I made this door, I tried not to put any nails where I was going to put the lock, but I almost feel I can feel one there, so I might have made a little mistake on that. But I don't know if Jen wants to get in there. I don't know if I can see a nail. I can certainly feel it hitting on the auger bit. Can you see in there? There's definitely something in there catching on it, but we'll get past it. Probably damage the auger bit, but you know. They're a throwaway society. £6 or £7. It's not quite right. What's happening now is I've come down at an angle on that one. I've come up on an angle on that one, so it's trapping the body of the lock. So I'm just going to go up like that. Pencil will clear it out as well if you've got one. Have I got a pencil, Jen? It did, Jen. So when I said you didn't put it in tight properly, maybe it's the fact that the chuck ain't that great. Where's the normal pencils I give you? That I gave you 2 before we started work. Thank you. Pencils and lighters. The world in struggle. Right, why is that tight, Jen? Tell me. I didn't let Jen read the instructions because, as always, I thought I knew better. See, the struggle with these sometimes is, right, so that's the casing for the lock there. So what they do, look, is that's how much distance there you've got, where you've got to leave wood, because once you screw that through there, if you've augured that bit out there, then that screw isn't going to hold. So when you mark it like that, it needs to be pretty tight because there's not much distance between that screw there and the body of that. So like I say, if you take that out, then it ain't going to fix. It never used to be like that. There used to be a bigger plate on it, but I guess saving a few millimetres on the steel over 20 million bloody locks, then that's great for them, but not great for us. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and take a bit more out of the top and a bit more out of the bottom. Those of you who slow that down now will realise, I just had that drill in reverse. Right, it's starting to get there now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to let Jen chisel that out till it fits. All right, Jen. Right, what I want you to do, I want you to get your little chisel. I want you to take a bit out the top there, a bit out the bottom there, square it off, take it all back. You're not going to come out the face of the door now because I've drilled it. The hole is good, almost. You see it there, look, it's slopping in easy. It's just not quite high enough. So you just want to take it out of there. Are you looking through that? And not...
Perfect. But come stand round right hand side of it. It's like you want chiseled and a that bottom bit.
Yeah, but if you see there, look, watch.
Top's
right,
fine.
it's not. Right, can you see the red there, look?
Yeah.
Right, and if you look up, there's loads of red up there as well. Okay. Yeah, so if you chisel that out, that'll start to go back in for you, and then we'll do step number 2. All right. The trouble with it, right, is what you do before, you get like a 20mm drill bit, and that'd fly in. But now, the tolerances are so small on it, you haven't got much to play with. Do you know what I mean? So you see how I've gone sideways like that? But that plate still needs to cover that gap. You see how it's starting to show there, look? But they didn't used to be that. They used to be a lot bigger, a lot more metal on them. Anyway, I'll leave you to do that. Tell me when... Right, so Jen's obviously rectified what I just ballsed up then. The lock actually fits now lovely. because she's put her fair hand to that, haven't you, Jen? Right, so what you need to do now is pop your lock in there, get your faceplate that goes over it, and what I'm going to do now is locate that like that. That's in a good position. I'm now going to, again, use gyprock screws. They're actually perfect for this job because they try not to split the wood, and they also provide a pilot hole. So what I've done there, I've screwed that. That's the position, the final position of the lock. Where did that bit go then? It fell out. That's the final position of the lock. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take it back off. I'm then going to hold that plate, take the body out. I'm going to get the plate. I'm now going to rotate the plate because I want the plate to sit flat to the wood, but obviously the countersunk punched holes in there are going to hold it off. So I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to put it back on, and that there is a crap bit. That there is the position it's going to go. So what will happen now? I'm just going to just find that hole. There it is. Right. So that there is the position of the lock when we finish. So exactly the same as the hinges. Let me just find my knife. Exactly the same as the hinges. What I'm going to do, I'm going to score down it. Like such. Obviously I'm a rough bugger and fast and like to go at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Jen will actually make this look beautiful, won't you, Jen? When she does it. She'll try. She will try, or she'll be walking home when we're in Leicester. That would never happen. Right, so I'm scoring it very much, well, exactly the same as I did the hinges. And then I'll show you what's going to happen then. So I'm going to take that plate off there again. So what she's going to do now, you've got two choices here. You can jump on trimmer or you can jump on the chisel, but Jen is going to jump on the trimmer because that's the way we're going forward in this day and age. So what I'll do, I'm going to get the plate, I'm going to sit it on. There you go, that's the way it goes. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to readjust the depth of this. Let me stand in the dark there so you can see that better, Jen. Can you see it? Yeah, so I'm now going to get that striking plate. So the body of the lock and the plate, is that the depth there, Jen? I haven't got my glasses on.
Yeah, it's like 1/2 mil above it.
Above it? There? Jen's trying to look through the lens at camera, obviously, and it's not.
Right.
Down a little bit? There?
Yeah, a bit more.
Bit more than that?
Tiny bit more.
There? 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 Up or down?
Up. No, down. Down. Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. You're moving it. Yeah, I suppose like that.
Right, so what we've done there, we've set the depth of the trimmer to the depth of the body of the lock and the plate. So what Jen will do now, she will now show extreme caution. Oh, do you want me to do it? You can do it. Right, but what she's going to do, she's going to use her finger as a what's it called? A guide rail, sorry. And what she's going to do, she's going to take it out. She's going to take the bulk out there and the bulk out there. She'll then feel confident enough, I think, to go down as close as she can to that line there. And same with that way of all. But of course, what you've got to remember, that blade's turning that way and it wants to pull that way. So this one will be a lot easier than that one because as it's going that way, it wants to pull into the wood that way. Yeah, does that make sense? So when that's all cut out then, that lock should then sit in there beautifully flush with that. So I'll let her do that and we'll jump back on camera then and see what... Okay, so Jen's routed it out, she's took it out. So the way you want to test this now is to sit your face plate on the body of your lock, drop it in like that. There we go. And we know that's flush there, so we're happy with that. The face plate's gone in nice and tidy as well, so that's good. So what we're going to do now, we're going to mark out for the lock. So I'm going to put the face plate back on the body of the lock. I'm going to now hold it in line. Can you see where I've chopped out there, Jen? Yeah. Hold it in line with that and flush with the front of the door. But I'm going to hold it up the right way up though. Because that works a treat. Right, so it's flush, it's in line with the door. I'm now going to get my pencil and I'm going to draw around there. That's where that escutcheon's going. Again, on this side as well, so that we can locate the Euro cylinder in the correct place. I'm actually holding it off the door, because if I hold it back like that, it just pulls it back a couple of mil, which makes all the difference when you're trying to create a nice tight hole. There you go. So what she'll do now, she'll drill that out. She'll drill that out with a smaller drill bit. She'll take that bit out with a chisel. She'll do the same on the other side. She'll clear it out. Then she'll offer her lock body back in. She'll push it tight back in, but she won't screw it yet because she has to put the Euro cylinder in and put the Euro cylinder screw, the securing screw through there. And then she will then screw her faceplate on. And that then should operate the lock on the door. Okay. Jen's fit the lock. I bought the wrong size cylinder, so I'm going to get another cylinder. It's sticking out too far basically on that side. So what I want to do is now is fit the key. Now the way you want to do this now is get a combination square. I've set it so the blade is loose, like that. We obviously, when this door shuts, we want it to be flush with the front of the frame. So I'm going to push the lock, the combination square there. I'm going to now push that in too far. Can you see it's pushed the door back? Yeah. And then what I'm going to do now is slide the door with the lock out and pull it forward. There. So what's happening now? Can you see in the gap there, Jen?
Yeah.
You can't you? Yeah. So the lock itself is touching the combination square, which is in turn sat on the frame. So that depth there, I've now locked it off. That is the depth of the lock. So what I'm going to do now is Jen comes this side. I'm going to sit that on the door frame there. I'm now going to mark that line there. There we go. So that there is where the lock wants to finish. So that being the lock there, I can see where it's marked at there, look, there and there. So the lock wants to strike on that bar there. So when I put that there, like that, I know that when that lock is locked, it will strike on there and hold that door flush with that. So what I'm doing now, I'm just going to draw them circles in there, like that, take it off. Jen will then put the gyprock screws in there. She'll cut round that, she'll set the router trimmer to that depth, then she'll chase that out, and then she'll chase that bit out for the lock to actually go into the timber itself. You got that? Jen's now oiled the door. I'll show you the door in a minute. I'll show you what's going on here. Like I said before, it is just a shed. It's a bit of shed grade cedar we had. When I say shed grade, it's been in back at van, it's been in container, in and out, people have walked over it. We sand it up and it looks nice. So what we're going to do, we're going to put corner trim on there. We're going to drop another corner trim over there, which will then trap an LED light strip in there. So that's going to run up there, full LED light strip, and we're also going to drop another one down there as well. This is your cedar clad door. That will run flush with the cedar, and there'll be an architrave around there as well. Can you see she's oiled it? She's fit this lock. I've showed you fitting that lock as well. Lovely lock there. I've obviously balls up and got an escutcheon which is too long, so I'll rectify that issue. She's put the keep in there. We'll sand the sill down, and we'll also put the architraves on and put the stop bead on as well. But that's your cedar clad door. I've showed you why we've used them longer gold screws as well, because we need to get through into the 4x2. That's your door. It's a beautiful shed, and it's going to look fantastic when it's finished. And as will the whole build. There you go. Leaves that door stop on, doesn't it? So that's it. If you like what you're watching, keep on watching. I'll keep on posting. We're going to belt it down tomorrow with rain, so chances are we won't be here, but I think we're going to put a base in at that other job we started in Huddersfield. So subscribe. Sean Connery. Like, subscribe and follow. That'd be fantastic as well. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.